Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Man, we are hyped today. Live with the Bismo podcast coming to you from Birmingham, Alabama. It is a terrible, crappy weather day. It's rainy, but it's not that cold. So you might notice a little bit of a different tone in the podcast, a little more hype, a little more excitement. That's two reasons. Number one is that I got a lot of things to be excited about. Since this is business motivation, and I'm motivated about my business, it would only be fair for me to share with you all, fine people, exactly what it is that's got me so hyped today. So I just counted my customer base for my ongoing revenue, and man, it's at a number that surprised me. I knew that, it was growing for sure. We've been growing since we started. We are a new business, so I would be very concerned if I had a month right now without at least some growth. But 7 months in, officially as of a few days ago, and man, just the amount of customers we got right now is just mind blowing. I'm so thankful that people have trusted us and have given us a shot, but I'm also just so proud, man, that the methods are still working, and that's why I want to share them with you guys. That's why I want to share these methods. My wife asked me the other day, what if your competition hears this stuff you're saying and putting out there into the internet? Because it's not like millions of people are listening to this or anything, but competition, we keep a close eye on each other. We know what's up. We know what's going on with the internet activity, with the sales activity. We know what's happening to a degree with each other because, you don't want to mimic your competition necessarily. You don't want to compete with them directly because that only weakens you, and that's a good topic to get into later. But you want to stay aware of them, right? You want to stay aware of them. And a lot of these guys, we have peaceful, cohesive relationships of mutual respect as peers in the industry. And we are necessarily not each other's competition. We consider the competition to be the big guys, right? The corporate companies, the companies that have fleets of, 20, 30, 40, 100 vehicles. Companies that have multi-million dollars in annual revenue, whether they're based in our state or region or they're national or worldwide, whatever the case. If they're a big guy, then that's our competition because that's who we go after when we're talking to customers. If I go to a customer and they're using somebody local, I say, listen, I respect your loyalty to a local provider. That's the exact thing I want from you and from anyone else. So I respect your choice not to want to make any change. However, if ever you do want to make a change, or if you have somebody else that is looking for pest control that maybe is in an area that this individual does not cover, please recommend them to me, or recommend me to them. So I'm hyped because I got a lot of customers in my book of business, more than I thought I had, and I'm excited about that. I'm doing 5 new customers, what I call starts, term that I got from my days back in Orkin. You'll hear me reference Orkin a lot, guys. I spent 6 years there, and in 2 different regions in the Southeast and Northeast as a sales rep, a service tech, a manager. I did termite. I had my hand in wildlife and insulation, residential pest control, commercial pest control. I did accounts like Amazon, Petco, Wendy's, and Lowe's. I did accounts in multi-million-dollar homes, celebrity homes. Actually, one of the customers that we had in Massachusetts, this is kind of a cool story, was the guitarist, Joe Perry from Aerosmith. He's got a big place up in Massachusetts. We did a mosquito service for him that he paid $600+ a month for. It was an all-day job that took 2 technicians, and they hated doing it. It was terrible. It was so big. I don't even know if it was effective. It's just when you're talking about mosquito services, very effective. You got the right people doing it the right way. But man, when you're covering a large territory like that, you really are fighting an uphill battle. The challenge becomes much greater. And unless you're going out there with just like an army of people that's going to be difficult to tackle. So anyway, that's kind of a funny story. Just on that note, something else you guys might find interesting. We did a handful of the New England Patriots. They were our customers. Dante Hightower, who was from Alabama and played for the Patriots, he was one of our customers up there in New England. Funny story about that guy. He's terribly afraid of stink bugs, and he used to always get stink bugs in his man cave / game room that he had in his house, and he would call back for that a lot. So that's kind of funny. When I was at Terminix briefly, now I'll blast Terminix all day, don't even care. Like, this company is terrible. I mean, Google the lawsuits. I don't think it's a secret publicly that they are terrible. Why anybody would do business with Terminix is beyond me. I took the job because we needed something at that time. My wife lined up an incredibly amazing travel nursing assignment on the West Coast out there in the Bay Area, where she had done nursing assignments before. The pay was really good. And to be quite honest and transparent, it was a desperation move. As we look back on that, we had big plans for it, but we acted a little hastily. We would have done things differently if we could go back. We probably would have stayed in Boston longer and then made our way back down home, back to Alabama, because we were ready, overall to come back. So that last stint in California was interesting. We got to take our daughter to Yosemite. We got to let our daughter see the Golden Gate Bridge and go to Hollywood and to see Los Angeles. And we took her to Disneyland, which was amazing because I'd only ever been to Disney World being from Alabama, so that was cool. But some of the cool customers we had out there in the Bay Area was, one in particular was Draymond Green, who was a Golden State Warrior. And some funny stuff with his account was that the technician, Marichal Gilbert, an old dude in his 60s, a true vet in the game of pest control, could never get to Draymond's house because the gate was always locked. And he could never get anybody on the phone to give him the code. Draymond was always out of town, and his wife, I don't know really too much of the details of it, but I just know that there was always trouble, and there was a couple times where Marichal's old self climbed the gate of Draymond Green's house to go into his pest control. A couple times it got a little dicey, and he was just like, "Hey man, it's me, it's your Terminix guy." So the great thing about this podcast is that it is for business motivation, but I'm coming from a perspective of pest control business and operations. Now, the great thing about business is that most operational philosophies and practices can work across the board for any business. People practices are true across the board. Relational things, philosophical things, psychological things that have to do with human beings and how to sell and how to generate activity in business and interest in you as an individual, how to sell to people as people and not necessarily push your product and service, but to push yourself, your story, because that's what people are buying. They're buying what they believe in, which needs to be you and what you believe in, and they're going to buy you if they like you. All that stuff, that all translates. But since I'm coming from a perspective of the pest control industry, the bonus is that there are some really funny, really interesting stories, because the pest control industry encounters some wild stuff since we deal with living things, whether it be from the tiniest insects to things like squirrels, chipmunks, raccoons, snakes, whatever. And we meet some wild characters, man. I mean, I could just tell you stories for days and days about the types of people I've met that live in multi-million-dollar mansions, all the way down to trailer parks and the projects, from multiplexes and duplexes and multifamily homes in the slums of Boston and Dorchester and Brockton, and out in the rural areas of Alabama, and on farmland in California, and in gated communities where they drive Bugattis and Lamborghinis in the Bay Area. Man, I'm telling you, I got all kinds of stories for you guys for days. So I'm just excited to continue to share those with you. And along the way, we're going to talk about some tried and true principles in business and how to motivate you to do better with your business, and pick up some tips, some things that I've learned through trial and error, some things that I've experienced, and some things that I've actually learned. And like I said before in one of the earlier podcasts, this is not me teaching you. I am not a guru. I am not a trained professional to be teaching anyone. Although, let me back that up. Qualify that statement and say that I have been an official corporate trainer for Orkin Pest Control and Rollins Incorporated via live telecast from their studios in Atlanta and their training facility, where I did do corporate training for 23 total states. So I have been a trainer, and I have gone through many conferences and actually gotten certified in field training and stuff. So, you know, this is in my wheelhouse to train individuals on how to sell, how to improve their customer service, and how to generate activity, attention, and interest in you and your personal brand. But officially speaking, that is not who I am and who I aim to be. I just want to present myself to you guys as one of you, somebody that's trying to figure out this business stuff, you know, along the way like everyone else. And I'm going to give you some insights from people that have done it before, that have great quotes and information and stories and, you know, proven methods as well, that either I've tried or that maybe we could try together. So this is a codependent relationship. I rely on you guys too, and please give me your feedback. Any feedback that you have, leave in the comments, send me a message, ironcitypest@gmail.com. Anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please send me that. The text is 205-917-9747. You can also go to ironcitypest.com, fill out the contact form. All that information goes straight to me. If you're in the local Birmingham market, again, as always, check out Iron City Pest. We're here for you, and this podcast is, as always, sponsored by my company, Iron City Pest. Again, shout out to some of the local operations in the Birmingham, Alabama area. Jerry Jean, he has no website, has no Facebook for information about him. He is a local guy that has got rates that are best in town, but his overhead's so low, he can really hook you up. So if you're looking for something like that, he also does a little bit of painting too, so you could reach out to me, ask for his information. Check out Jackson's Painting at jacksonspainting.com, agapeweddings.org. Got a lot of Cabin Fever Coffee Truck in Helena, Alabama. Check them out. Helena Drugs, Mills Pharmacy. Gosh, guys, so many people that I'm going to forget to mention because I don't have it right here in front of me. But a lot of people that are partners, that are customers, or we have just, codependent friendships and partnerships in the business, mutual referrals. I know a lot of realtors, if anyone's interested in that as well. So use me as a one source for all things. Shelby Fence is a great company if you're in the local Birmingham, Alabama market. If you want to get a fence built for your backyard, they do all kinds of stuff in that business. So check them out. But yeah, man, I'm hyped today, and another reason that I'm coming to you a little bit more lively today is because I'm finally in an area where I got some privacy to do the podcast. So episode 1, you go back and listen, and you can kind of hear that I've got a little bit more freedom on, you know, the volume and the energy that I'm bringing to the table. The episode 2 and 3, I was trying to be respectful of some people that were in the area. I was in my private home office where I have a little studio section set up where I handle things like this and do some editing and some recording and stuff. So, but I try to be respectful of the people in my home. So, you know, try not to be going crazy, making a bunch of loud noises. But yeah, I always want to stay hyped for you guys because I know that keeps you engaged, keeps you listening. And I want you to be excited about what I'm talking about. So, today's topic is nothing, man. Episode 4 of the podcast. Just want to let you know that my business is rolling. And remember today to tackle the day of the intensity that you had on your first day. I think that's one of the keys. I remember having a conversation with a branch manager that I had a few years back, and I said, have I ever told you my story about how I started here? And he said no. So I sat down with him, had some time. So I told him, you know, in 2013, I had a baby on the way. We were living in California. We were moving back to Alabama. My wife was staying behind to finish a nursing assignment. I moved back to Birmingham a month earlier than her. So my wife's pregnant. We were recently married. I'm living 3,000 miles away, feeling depressed and desperate. I needed a job. I had been taking some community college courses, was planning to do like physical therapy assistant just because I Googled that was going to be a job in high demand in the future. I had no interest in that. I don't even particularly like to touch people. I mean, what was I thinking? Like, I look back on that, like, what in the world? I was so lost. So I got back. And my mother was married to a man at the time named Ken Horton, who is also a partner of mine now with commercial and residential lawn care. He cuts grass. He'll do a little bit of landscape for you, mulch and pine straw. So you can check his information out on IronCityPest.com. Great guy, honest guy, full of integrity. But him and my mom are no longer married, but they were married at the time, and he's a family friend. And he was working in pest control and still does, actually, full time. His lawn stuff is a side gig for him at the moment, but he worked out at a gym with the branch manager at the time of working pest control. And he said, hey, my son-in-law is moving back to Alabama. He's got a baby on the way. He needs a job. Y'all got anything going up there? So Brian, the branch manager at the time, he said, actually, we don't have any routes opened up, but we do have something that's kind of unique, that's new, we're trying out. We're just doing something for the summer. It's going to be a temporary job from April to October. We just need a mosquito technician. Basically, all he'll do is go out and service the mosquito customers. And that's what actually, and I went and interviewed and got the job, and that's what got me into mosquito service so much, and why that's where my record of sales is, and what launched my job into a career and got me into management, and it led me into owning a company. And I believe in that service wholeheartedly, because I started there and I really learned the pest, I learned the service, and I saw the help that it was providing for people, and the freedom and peace of mind that people had from it. And I was really intrigued by that. And the more I studied about it, the more I got involved. I mean, shoot, man, I did a live telecast with Dr. Ron Harrison, the nation's leading entomologist that's on the Rollins payroll. This guy has a PhD in entomology, and I'm sitting there side by side with him, and we're going through, and I'm considered an expert on his level, obviously not academically, but in the field, the results I was producing put me at I earned his respect. And so I tell you guys these things because I want you to know the credibility that I have, and I want you to understand that when you're listening to me, you're listening to somebody that has had some genuinely cool experiences that have really produced some good outcomes, and I think I can do the same for you. But I told him, I got this job, started as a mosquito technician. I did that for 3 months. I absolutely loved it. It was an easy gig. This was back old school paper tickets. It was only 2013, but they still hadn't transferred over into fully digital. I had a stack of paper tickets. My service manager took me to the Toyota dealership. We picked up a brand new Toyota Tacoma, only had 7 miles on it, just freshly decaled. He gave me a stack of paper tickets, about 100. He said, try to do 10 a day before the month's over. He gave me a mosquito blower and a bottle of chemical that we use to mix up. He said, do an ounce per gallon. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. That was it, man. So they were perforated service tickets all printed out. So I tore them apart, organized them by zip code, did 10 per day, and that was it, man. And I sort of had to learn as I went. Now, they do at that company provide phenomenal training, which I did later get. And that's one of those things to where the training is there for you. It's available. A lot of it's mandatory. Some of it's voluntary. But you can become a professional expert in your field, to become somebody like me that is able to open up their own business and be successful if you take advantage of it. We had, I believe I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but we had at that time while I was there 8 residential routes, and 3 of those 8 now own their own businesses in the Birmingham market. So that company is literally training people to go out and start their own businesses. That's how well they're training. And then what do? We grow, we retire, we sell it back to them. So the rich get richer, and they're allowing us to live independently and make our own money at the same time. So it's a phenomenal business model. Nothing but respect for those people. But I told him, once I got that job, did it for 3 months, and a route opened up. So when that route opened up, that means it was a permanent gig at that time, no longer temporary. I fell in love with it. I continued to sell. I continued to upsell. I continued to service, with a servant leadership, purpose-driven sort of customer-first, customer-centric, results-oriented mentality that I could keep to this day. It worked for me. I was always transparent, always myself with my customers, and then they were their selves with me, and that allowed us to build strong, lasting relationships that I still have many relationships with so many of these people today, years later. And I told him this story, and I said, you know, what I do every day is I remember how important this job was when I first got it, with my baby being on the way, and how much I needed it, how important it was, how essential it was, that I make that money while my wife was on maternity leave, that I get that job before she got back. So I put everything I had into it, and I kept that mentality. Every day I wake up and I remind myself, I have a little thing from that time, and that helps me to remember. And I look at it and I remember, you know, this is all fragile. Life is fragile. Anything can fall apart at any minute. So continue to go hard, continue to be strong, continue to build something strong, and that is exactly what the universe is going to give right back to you.